Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Steven Universe episode reviews. These ones are going to be for the most recent 4 episodes of Steven Universe. The episode names are Dugout, The Good Lars, Are You My Dad, and I Am My Mom. I believe it's episode 22, 23, 24, and 25. I believe these are the last episodes of season 4. But the schedule of episodes and the episode titles that we know are just so mixed up. I don't think anyone's fully aware. Obviously, these episodes, I don't even think this is the way they've come out now is the initial release date for these episodes. So we can't even be sure that just because these 4 episodes came out at once, they're meant to be the end of the season. You know, to a degree, the last episode and the way it ends feels a little bit like a kind of season ender. And it would make sense as like a starting off point, like, oh, what happens next? But anyway, let's jump into the first of these episodes. That is Dugout. Now, this one is focused actually primarily on Connie's father, which I don't really remember the other episodes all that well, but like we have met him before. I think they had the whole family get together thing where it was like Connie's parents meeting like Alexandrite or whatever it was, all of the crystal gems basically. But this was our first time, I think, properly getting to know like the character of Connie's father. And it was interesting in that like the whole episode he was basically trying to look cool to Steven and Connie, knowing that they do all this really cool stuff when they protect the world. He wanted to show that as a security guard that he also does cool stuff, and so he invites them on the mission. And like there's the the implication that he's kind of set up a lot of this stuff himself to make it sound cooler than it is, like leaving the disguises in the back. And it was a fun episode, definitely, with the whole idea of like Connie and her like persona that she took on, and the fact that Steven was basically Mario the whole episode. That was really funny. The fact that he just said everything in an Italian accent, kind of in the Mario kind of cadence. It was really like fun to just see that. When you really break it down, like there wasn't much to the episode, in that in the end the person they were chasing through the amusement park was just Onion, to no real effect as such. And the main like core of the episode was just that Connie is able to say that, look, enough serious stuff happens in my life. The fact that you are silly and not as like serious as all these other people, that's a good thing. That I like to just spend time with you for that stuff rather than you needing to have fun and cool and serious stuff happen as well. That was, nice, but absolutely not like a amazing thing within the episode. The plot importance, though, is at the end of the episode we see the shadows of 2 gems, clearly just based on the fact that they have, one of them has wings and one of them is much bigger, seem to take or abduct, kidnap Onion. And this becomes a kind of trend in the next couple of episodes in the lead up to like the last 2 episodes. But the second episode, The Good Lars, again a kind of similar format to the previous episode, where like the focus is the cool kids invite Lars to a kind of get together. They're having a party basically. Sadie and Steven can come too, but the take on this dynamic in this episode is obviously that the cool kids want them all to bring some sort of like food thing, whether that be drinks or food items. Lars at the start of the episode reveals that he is actually a really, really good baker, having basically made a new menu item for the big donut, and it's this thing that he really likes to do, but he's embarrassed by it because he doesn't feel it's a cool thing to do, which is it adds an extra layer to his character, who is obviously a very self-conscious character. That's something that's come across quite heavily in the episodes of the featured Lars, that he doesn't have a ton of confidence in himself and is always trying to maybe like act like someone he isn't. When I like the reveal that the cool kids actually like Lars for who he is. When he did that like bingo bongo thing, he thought that was the most uncool thing and he just did it randomly. But they actually thought that was really cool because it was just kind of spur of the moment. He just came up with this catchphrase thing to like end a conversation in like a cool way, and they actually liked that. So that was fun. And then the other, I suppose, dynamic was that Sadie arrives to the party, Lars hasn't arrived, and the whole episode leads you to think that he hasn't come because he again thinks that it's uncool to be a baker, and he's not going to bring his really cool thing that he made for them. And we get to see Sadie actually hanging out with the cool kids a bit, and they kind of sing a song. We see that obviously Sadie knows how to sing. They kind of get to know her a bit more because they primarily only know Lars and they don't really know Sadie. Another thing earlier on in the episode actually is that Lars basically inadvertently says that he loves Sadie. In that, like, I think he says, like, I love baking, I think, and then he says, and I also love, and clearly the next thing he's going to say is Sadie, but he stopped, blushes, and moves past it so Stephen doesn't become aware of what he was just about to say. But the reveal at the end is obviously that Sadie is taken by the same two people that took Onion, and the implication then becomes Lars was also taken by these very same people. That's why he didn't turn up. Maybe there was still a case just before he was taken that he was going to not go to the party, but he was taken before he could even make the decision either way. So that's that episode. Again, fine, nice little character development moments, but not particularly amazing or anything like that. Then we move into the next two episodes, which I'm probably going to talk about as, together rather than separate. But Are You My Dad and I Am My Mom. Interesting ones for sure, in that if these are meant to be the finale, which would make sense in that I believe we only have one 2-part episode this season. So technically that wouldn't count as 2 episodes, and it would make, even though this is the 25th separate episode, it would make it like 26 episode count in terms of 11-minute chunks. If it's the finale, it's like, okay, fine, but it also highlights that season 4 really didn't have a lot going on, because the entire plot of season 4 is literally just the zoo, going to the zoo, Greg being captured, and then like these last like 2-3 episodes of the Aquamarine and Topaz coming to Earth and basically kidnapping the people who Stephen mentioned to Peridot in a previous episode. Like, that's cool and all. It's just it's not the way I think most expected the some homeworld gems arriving to Earth to kind of play out. It just, in terms of character development, in terms of plot, it just was a bit like, oh, it's cool that we're getting introduced to these new characters, and that, like, okay, these are high-level gems that the Diamonds have clearly sent out, and they're trying to... Initially, it comes across like, oh, are they purposely targeting the people that Stephen cares about to get to him because he's, you ruined the plans of the Diamonds or something like that? But no, it's just the reveal ends up being that, like, no, they literally are actually silly enough that they think that Stephen's list of, like, other humans he mentioned really casually to Peridot are actually, like, super important people, and they actually think that someone called my dad is a name rather than, like, 2 words to mean something else. So that's the kind of joke about these 2 episodes, in that it's not this unique, mysterious thing of, like, this Aquamarine gem actually has a father. It's just that she's searching for someone called my dad, who's obviously Greg, because that's obviously how Stephen would refer to him. I like Aquamarine. I like the voice actress they got for her to make her sound very unique, and the fact that she's so small but has the really basically magic, like just a magic wand kind of powers that seems exceptionally powerful, one of the more powerful gems we've seen. And then Topaz as like the absolute like most powerful in terms of just like single gems that just seem to have the most like physical strength. Like, they seem like really, really up there, and the ability of like to kind of capture people within their fusion was definitely a unique way to kind of capture all these people, even if it was just the milkman and so on, the mailman, sorry, and so on. So there were some unique ideas for sure. Like, obviously Topaz doesn't really talk, and it's mainly Aquamarine. But even she is not really a like character focus as such, in that she's just kind of there to be, evil homeworld character, new version, and just like act and then like have the reveal of like, oh, my dad isn't actually this person, but we'll take you instead. Like the arc that they tried to go for with Steven in these episodes was, I think the writers don't quite realize that just having Steven be emotional isn't always character development. Like, I get what they're going for here in that he is very confused and conflicted about the way to feel about his mother and his heritage and so on. But like the way they went about doing this was it was, I think it was meant to be, or like the intent in the writing was that him saying like, I am my mom, was meant to be a much bigger thing than it actually was in the episode, because he's known this from basically the first episode, and admittedly he's been moving away from that, trying to like make himself obviously make it really clear that he's a different person, even though, you know, technically he, you know, more or less is his mom. It's a really technical issue, but like he is, you know, Rose Quartz, and him saying that at the end that, you know, I'm someone more important than anyone on that list, I am Rose Quartz, and them taking him away in exchange for basically everyone else. Steven sacrificing himself to basically, you know, save all of the other people, so only he has to, I suppose, you know, make amends for what happened, basically. Like, I think it's a really good setup for what's to come next, in that Steven, on his way back, maybe arriving on Homeworld, and how the other gems, diamonds, interact with Steven on the Homeworld, and him experiencing Homeworld for the first time. That's going to be super interesting, depending on what direction they take, of course. But it's just that the finale, getting to that point, wasn't massively, like, interesting. In that, like, okay, cool, like, it's going to be this mission to rescue all the people that were taken, and we get to see Alexandrite, we get to see the Crystal Gems kind of fight a bit, but it was definitely a case of just, they did the really quick thing of just, new foe, power levels are just so much more skewed on the side of the villains, instant victory over the heroes, the fights don't really mean a lot because we're just trying to get to this point, Steven has to sacrifice himself, they move off, and everyone's emotional at this. It, I don't think, had as much impact as well, because the other key plot point this season was Greg being taken away, so just the idea of like someone else being taken away doesn't feel as like notable or crazy just because it's already happened. They tried to make it a bit more important in that, like, oh, we don't actually have a spaceship to chase after anyone this time. If someone leaves, they're gone for good, but you sort of know stuff is going to happen here, and, you know, depending on what way they go, in that, like, are Steven and the Gems going to be separated for, like, a long time? Are we going to get, like, side plots and, like, A plot, B plot of, like, Steven and the Gems on Homeworld, and then cut back to the Crystal Gems trying to find a way to get to Homeworld, maybe building their own ship, or maybe, I suppose, I assume at some point they're going to use the fact, like, the Gems, kind of like their base at the moment, they're going to use that as, like, reveal something about that it can be used as, like, some sort of space transport. I can see them doing something like that to, like, as a last ditch, you know, effort to kind of go after Steven. But yeah, the overall, I think it's a solid enough ending to season 4 in that the last 2 episodes were plot focused. The new characters are really interesting as gems. It's just, I think the show made it out that there was a little bit more going on in this season. Like, you look back on this season, and as I said, it's the plot episodes are the zoo arc and then, like, the last 2 episodes, basically. Everything else was just a little side episode. It was just Steven helping this character doing this, a little tease of, like, Steven and his mother here, and, like, something about Lion here. But for the most part, like, it definitely, to me, without rewatching everything, feels like the weakest season of Steven Universe by a long shot, just because of the rarity of those, you know, plot episodes, basically. That this season just so represented the issues of the season. Now, of course, you know, season 1 is a bit of a different thing, and that it was just starting off. But since we've been in this format of, you know, like, the seasons are 26 episodes, and we're roughly trying to tell a story within them, this definitely felt quite weak to me. In that season I try to remember the season orders. Like season 3 actually is super strong. Like when you really look back on that, it ended in a really good way with the run of episodes it had right at the end. This, as I said, it felt kind of thrown together that like, oh, we have to come to a conclusion to the end of this season. 2 episodes, some new gems, and we'll set stuff up going forward. So that's that. And again, like I enjoyed all 4 of these episodes, but I feel the show has dropped a level over the course of season 4. I think it can get back because, as I said, the premise for what potentially is going to happen next is quite strong. And I think just the idea of Homeworld, Diamonds, and wherever they're taking Steven and what's going to happen in relation to that stuff, and maybe reveals about, Rose herself, are so strong that like the show is always... I don't think many people are going to like drop the show because of this, but episode to episode, I think the hype has kind of drained a little bit from the fandom in that, yes, each new episode release gets excitement and people are interested and invested, but it's always a case of like, will this finally be the good episode? Will they finally, get the plot going? Will they finally do this or that? And it took them so long here that it was just like, oh, you're not doing like a 6-7 part finale. You're only doing a 2-part finale with minor setup at the end of the previous 2 episodes. Okay. I just definitely wish there was a bit more like character focus, a bit more, plot going on, but they ended the season at the, I suppose a reasonable point. It's not an awful point to end on, but it could have been better, of course. So I think that's more or less everything I wanted to say about the kind of end of this season. I hope season 5 is an improvement, and I really feel that unless they do something to get back to the status quo in the first couple of episodes of season 5 kind of needs to be our plot season. It needs to be just the season where like we're just away from Beach City for most of it, or because Steven's away, that the stuff in Beach City is just very focused on getting to a point where they can get Steven back. But yeah, I'm just going to finish the video there. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on these 4 episodes of Steven Universe. How happy were you with what seems potentially to be the end of season 4? Let me know if it's not. I'm really confused just with regards to the scheduling of this show. What point we're at in the season, because I see some places listing that the next like 6 episode titles we know are like episodes like 26 to 29 of the season or something like that, and other places are listing those episodes as the start of season 5. I don't know, so let me know all that stuff in the comments. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.